Hello and welcome to episode 562 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from the Rugby League project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. And join me as always is the glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
I'm going all right now. But who knows? Who knows? Awesome. I've got to apologise to our listeners because I've been crook, hey? So we haven't been able to do the podcast and it's been my fault. And that's the only reason.
Not entirely your fault. Let's be honest. Yeah, I had a crack.
Yeah, you had a good go at it, but you know what? When you messaged me, I said, I can't do it tonight. I've been really sick. I was like, oh my god, thank God, I'm so sick.
Yeah, we kind of overlapped it. We're synchronizing.
Well, for our listeners, like I was saying to Andrew a lot over the last few weeks, like I basically have been crook with nothing serious, but just catching one thing after another since November last year. So I think since November last year, I think all up I've had 20 healthy days interspersed in this in the last 6 months. So it's been wonderful. It's been really good.
You've basically been the virus filtration system for the entire planet.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
You've had all 37 strains of avian flu.
It's been fantastic, yeah. It's nothing serious. I don't want anyone to think I got anything serious going on, but I've just been unlucky. Like I'll start getting healthy and I'll pick up something strange. It's like, what the hell's going on? Like, fuck. Could it be healthy for a week?
Wasn't it me that had this sort of drama several years ago when the podcast was kind of new?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, you were like sick. Yeah, it must have been for nearly 6 months as well.
It was a pretty long time, but I was podcasting through it all, and the majority of the podcast was I would give just enough opinion to get something out before I had to blow my nose, cough, fart, shit, whatever the hell it was, and then just press mute for a while and just go, please keep talking, freaky. I'm sitting there drinking water, taking tablets, drinking stuff, blowing nose.
Just dying, yeah.
And then a great time of year.
Yeah. Then when you finally got over that, then for the next 6 months, you just decided to start eating during the podcast.
That was always good.
Times. That was good, yeah. So we're going to start with some emails that have been sent over the last 4 years to us.
Yeah. We've deleted all the ones that say, I don't care if you're healthy or not, just give us something to fucking listen to. We've deleted those. That made up about 95 emails.
Where's this? This one is from it's because it's the 5th of the 8th. Yeah. No, the 8th of the 5th, sorry.
Yeah.
Fucking Americans and their stupid fucking... Anyway. This first one is from James. He's the real James, by the way. And the subject is halfbacks and speed. We were talking about this about a month ago when we did our last podcast, I think.
Yes.
He says, hey boys, it seems like most of the greatest halfbacks to play the game were not that quick, specifically a 40-plus metre sprint compared to other backs. Joey, Ricky, Alfie, Turvey and Sterlo could have used a yard or two of extra pace. Who do you think was the fastest halfback of the Winfield Cup to present era? And here are some of the shortlisted names he gave. Nathan Cleary, Todd Carney, PJ Marsh, that's a pretty good one there. Greg Alexander, Jared Mullen, what a natural athlete. Jonathan Thurston, Craig Wing, that's another good one. Preston Campbell, Ben Hornby, and Matt Orford. Cheers, James.
Benji.
Well, but what about pure halfbacks, though?
He's played halfback.
He was more of a 5'8". I mean, Benji would be... Mitch Moses, he'd be right up there.
He's got a bit of toe, yeah. He's not too bad.
Yeah. PJ Marsh was pretty quick.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Damien Cook ever play halfback?
No, he's more of a natural centre.
He's only good on sand.
Oh shit! I think that's a pretty good list there. Craig Wing was pretty quick.
Oh, if Benji doesn't count as an actual halfback, does that mean Greg Alexander doesn't either?
Well, Brandy was mostly a halfback his entire career.
Fullback.
Anyway, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
It's another one from James. James was busy emailing us.
Jim,
Great,
good.
James.
Thanks, James, for making sure we fill up our episode with plenty of content.
Yeah, this was he sent this on the 6th of the 5th.
Or the 5th of the 6th.
One of the two. He sent it sometime in 2025. That's what matters. The subject is Alex Johnson. He says, "Hey boys, amazing to see Alex Johnson cross for the 200th try barrier recently. That was cool to see, something that you've never seen in your lifetime before. That was very cool. What looked like a formality not that long ago was in doubt when injury struck. Well done, Alex Johnson. Regarding this, 1, do you think the significance Alex's achievement of scoring 200 was downplayed or undersold by the media or the NRL? It got a mention, but they didn't make a big deal out of it, or are they just keeping their powder dry if/when AJ breaks the all-time record? That's a good question.
I'll say I think they are keeping it in check because the gap between 200 and the record is only a dozen tries. That's pretty achievable in a few games.
Yeah.
So, I think they are just, let's not go crazy and then have to go crazy again in 2 months' time and do it all over again.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I wonder how many he ends up getting, when his career's over.
This feels like, when Cameron Smith broke the point scoring record.
Yeah.
And then he fucking obliterated it.
Yeah.
Feels like we could be in this territory.
It does. When he got that last major injury, it was a concern. But, yeah, I know he's going to I saw a thing this week, I'm sure, where he re-signed for another year with Souths. And he's an all right winger. I think I could see him going to another club or staying at Souths or whatever. He could put it out to, say, 230 or something like that, which would be a crazy.
Yeah, when you consider, some of the variables now, a lot of people say, you know what, teams score more tries now, but at the same time, the positions of try scorers now are more evenly spread than what they were back in Irvine's time. The wingers back in Irvine's time scored the absolute glut of tries compared to everywhere else, whereas now you got players all over the field that could score plenty of tries. Remember, there was a few seasons there where Cohen Hess was getting over a dozen tries a year and he's playing as a prop.
That's an interesting point for point 2 that James makes. He says his point: do players in the corner post rule era, where it's you can knock the corner post over and that's fine, even in your own mind, he says, have an asterisk next to their name and their try-scoring records? I personally have never thought of that.
No, I don't put asterisks to that because, every time I do any sort of stats that goes over different rule eras, let's be honest, that's what they are, you always get people say, oh, but has it been adjusted to... And they say, no, you don't adjust things to try and make it more level because... It doesn't work that way. For example, back in 1935, a field goal, a penalty goal, a conversion, they were all worth 2 points. A try was only worth 3. So if it's getting close to the end of a game and you're down by 2 points, you're not going to chance a try if a field goal is easy to take and you can get a draw, because back then a point on the ladder is better than no points on the ladder. So teams just take the shot at field goal. Although if they get a penalty, they'll take the penalty goal. Why go for a more riskier option just for one extra point? But if they had been able to, go out there scoring 4-point tries back in 1935, you're damn right they're going to go and have a crack at scoring a few more tries. It changes the way the game gets played.
Yeah. I think for me, the only thing I kind of think about when it comes to try scoring records between modern players and when you go back to someone like Irvine, I think more along the lines of how many games players play per year now compared to what they used to back then. But You know, and then you could break it down to tries per game if you wanted to.
Well, this is where it gets interesting because I actually did a chart following the try scoring careers for both Alex Johnson and Ken Irvine. And they are almost neck and neck for tries at the same period for, career games.
Yeah, well, there you go. Like
almost neck and neck. So
look, when it comes down to it, like if you score over 150 tries, like anybody that's done it, you are a ridiculously good try scorer by any measure, even if you play 400 games, which no one's done yet, like you are ridiculously good. So.
No, I agree. It's phenomenal. And you look at the two charts too, you see how consistent Ken Irvine was and how insanely rapid Alex Johnson has caught up. He had this big lull in the middle of his career where his try scoring really dried up hard. And then, my God, he caught up flat out. So I had a few little stats here. So I was looking at who got to certain try markers first. So the first person to get to 10 tries was Johnson. He did it in 9 games. Irvine did it in 10. First one to get to 25 tries was Johnson. He did it in 22 games. Irvine did it in 27. And then this is around the time that Johnson's try scoring starts to dry up a little bit and Irvine starts to pick up. So 50 tries was Irvine. He did it in 47 games. Johnson did it in 63. So it took Irvine 20 games to score his next 25 tries, whereas it took Johnson 41 games to get those next 25 tries. Then to get to 100 tries, so the next 50. Irvine, 96 games. Johnson, 141. So it took Johnson nearly 80 games to score the next 50 tries. It took Irvine 50 games, almost a try a game. 150 tries first. Irvine, 153 games. Johnson, 179. Johnson took 38 games to get his next 50. Whereas it took Irvine nearly 60 games. So you start to see this is where Johnson starts to catch up fast. 200 tries first. Irvine did it in 220 games. Johnson did it in 231. So that took Irvine nearly 70 games there, whereas it took Johnson just under almost 50 games, just over 50. So he's brought the gap down really close, really fast.
Yeah.
And kind of in the realm of being possible of getting to exactly the same mark of Ken Irvine, which is 212 tries in, 237 games, 238 games? 237. Very close to getting that mark. So he would need, I think, 12 tries in 7 games. Yeah. That was after he got to 200.
And he could do that.
Yeah.
Like we've seen him go on crazy try scoring streaks. So he could do that. By the way, Cameron Smith played 400 games. In my head, I still have the thing about no one's played 400 games yet because I wrote an article about it. Who's going to be the first 400 game player? Years and years ago, and I thought it was going to be what's his name, Mitchell Pearce. But
no, that's fair too because he started young and he didn't have injuries for a long time.
Yeah, that's why I picked him. Yeah,
that was a fair call.
Yeah, but it ended up being Cameron Smith.
Yeah, he kind of snuck in under the radar, I think, a bit there.
Well, what's the chance that a hooker's going to play 400 games?
Exactly right.
Like, fucking hell. Anyway, there's another question here by James, and he says, I'd really like to be at the game if when Alex Johnson beats Ken Irvine's try scoring record, can Fergo use some statistical analysis to predict in which game AJ will break the record? Sure,
let's have a crack at it. We'll do this live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
It fucking sucks.
Let's have a look. So what we'll do basically is we'll find out what his average is.
Yeah.
Per game, and we'll go from there. Let's see, where's he at? Try and get his record up here. Alex Johnson.
Make doing maths more entertaining, you fuck.
What's he got? 202 tries in 233 games. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so he needs to get that times 212. No, that's not right.
So if you
maths is going great.
Yeah, so if you take the tries he's scored and you divide it by the games he's played, right? And you take what's left, and then you fucking
244 games. So it's 11, 12 games away.
Okay.
Where does that put him? Let's have a look.
Can you do that this season?
It's going to get close.
Yeah.
Where's South? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So round 27 will be 10 games. That's against the Roosters. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, that'd be fucking awesome. Are they playing at home at Allianz Stadium?
Yes.
Excellent. That'd be amazing. You know what would be perfect? Here's the perfect scenario, right? Game tied. Alex Johnson scores in the corner, breaks the record, knocks the Roosters out of the finals spot doing that. South's only in the finals. Penrith secure 8th spot. That's what we all want.
I think that needs to happen.
Yeah. By the way, I've been doing every single time that a game is played in the NRL at the moment, I go to the ladder predictor on the NRL website and just go through the rest of the season and adjust who I think will win games and stuff.
Did you know?
Yeah.
There's a ladder predictor on Rugby League Project.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you can actually type in what you want the scores to be instead of just going by that 4-point incremental margin on there.
Yeah, yeah.
You can put whatever scores you want in there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to use that from now on.
Yeah.
Well, look, a couple of weeks ago, I had Penrith making, I think, 7th. And at the moment, the last one I did, Penrith misses the finals in 9th.
No, that's not allowed.
Well, that's what I think too.
No, more than 9th is just the West Tigers spot. That's their goal this year.
Yeah, but it's
coming home.
That's why, like Ivan Cleary has said, he's going to rest his Origin plays against the Warriors. I don't think he's got that luxury.
No, the luxury they do have is that they've been able to keep their points difference, like almost at parity, which is not bad for a team that's lost more games than it's won.
Yeah. I have Penrith, when I do my ladder predictor, I basically have Penrith not beating anybody above them on the ladder, which I think they will beat someone above them on the ladder. They've got that capability, obviously. But just to be like, to make it the worst case scenario, basically, I make them not beat anybody above them on the ladder, and then I'll throw in a loss against one of the lower grade teams that are below them too. So, like, I think the Dolphins are below them, or there's someone that's below them that's not too bad. So
I'm actually just looking at their draw now, and they do have a remarkably good run home in that regard.
It's nice, yeah, it is pretty nice. But
so they've got the Warriors and the Bulldogs the next 2 weeks, then a bye. Then after the bye, it's Parramatta, South, Tigers, Titans, Newcastle. Wow.
And they should win every game there. Yeah. They should.
Yeah, and then it's Melbourne, Canberra, Canterbury, and then Dragons at the end.
So, and they should beat the Dragons. It's they've got the work to do, though.
Mate, if they've won those 5 straight games when they come up against Melbourne, even if they lose to Melbourne by a small margin, they're beating Canberra.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
They're beating Canberra.
We'll see what happens. We got another email.
Oh, yay.
It's from Glenn.
Glenn.
His subject is footy. He obviously doesn't know we're a Formula One podcast. I mean, what the hell, Glenn?
Oh, look, you know what? We'll branch out and give it a crack.
Okay, let's go. G'day, Fergo and Freak. I like that he uses our last names.
Hang on, this sounds like Feel Good. He calls people storms.
Does he?
Yeah, he uses plurals when they don't exist, and then no plurals when they do exist. Like, instead of tigers, it'll be tiger.
He says,
so for you, instead of being the freak, you just freak.
He references our last podcast we did, which was about 7 months ago.
I can't remember it.
He says, one of the fucking bastards, because I remember we were talking about our listeners are fucking bastards. I enjoyed your previous pod when talking about expansion and how we have similar views on certain teams. He said dump PNG, West Tigers to Campbelltown permanently, St George Illawarra Dragons to Wollongong permanently. You guys went a bit more extreme regarding the Roosters and Sharks. If I remember correctly, Andrew said that the Roosters should be dissolved and the Sharks should move to Adelaide. I'm just moving. No, Andrew, you made your fucking statement.
I just want to clarify. Any team that gives South to shits, I'm happy for them to exist.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I suggested moving the Sharks so that they can cover St George area just for shits and giggles.
You know what? I would have the Sharks playing at their Sydney football stadium.
Mate, their ground's big enough, all right? Just calm down.
No, it's fucking not.
You know what was funny is, sorry to take over from the email, I saw people complaining about the size of the crowd for the Sharks versus Dragons game because it only got like 8,000 people. And someone said, they should have moved it to Allianz and gone, why? So you put 8,000 people at Allianz? If the Dragons and Sharks can't get enough people to fill that stadium, why moving it to Sydney is going to make it any difference? They're just going to travel further. It's local to both those sides, and they still couldn't be bothered to go. Why move it into the CBD? It's just going to get a smaller crowd.
Yeah, but sometimes I think like it comes down to like, so say you're a footy fan and you're thinking about like cramming yourself into Shark Park. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Whereas at the SFS, you know you're going to get a good seat, you're going to get good food, you know. There's transportation.
How many people would Shark Park need to hold for you to want to go there and watch a game?
I don't want to go to Shark Park.
A valid point.
I just don't want to go to Shark Park at all. No. Shark Park's a fucking dump, mate. It's basically, it's hanging its ass off a fucking swamp. It fits the same amount of people in that you get at the ground at Bathurst. And they have never won an actual premiership. Wow. Anyway, Glenn says,
Glenn said all of that.
Yeah, Glenn. Far out, Glenn.
Bloody hell. We're trying to run a respectable podcast here.
Yeah. Next, Glenn's going to bring up their systematic drug abuse system or something, allegedly. Glenn says...
We'll get to it sooner or later.
Glenn, you need a fucking lawyer, man.
Yeah, you need to settle down, Glenn.
Oh, shit. In Glenn's opinion, the Roosters moved to the Central Coast. I wouldn't be against that. By doing this, it then opens up the junior city catchment area for the Rabbitohs, Sharks, Bulldogs, and Eels. That's true.
Sorry, what? Junior what?
Well, yeah, the Roosters don't. Do you know, I started looking up junior rugby league stuff because remember, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. This was only about 6 months ago. There was Roosters fans were whinging about the South Sydney Rabbitohs, right, on Twitter. And they started trying to erase South Sydney's history of playing in, like, at the SFS. And they were trying to make it like that South just never played in Sydney. It was really weird. And then they started making out that South don't really have juniors in the east of the city. And so I just went to South Juniors website and just look at the teams that are on the South Juniors website. And like, so there was somebody saying, Moore Park isn't South Sydney's junior district. And they've literally got a team called Moore Park in their junior. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway. Then Glenn says.
This Glenn's, man, he's unhinged, this fella.
Glenn's going off.
Yeah.
Then Glenn says, then each team gets allocated a country area so that teams have small catchment area. You can get a larger country area, and you have to play one game there each year in that area. I like that idea.
Have I not suggested that before when they got rid of city country?
Yeah, a lot of people have. I mean, some teams do it. I know Penrith basically does it.
Yeah.
This is a question directed at Fergo, as it's rugby league project related.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
1908, Why are the tricolours at the top of the ladder when the Rabbitohs had a better for and against record?
For and against wasn't used to determine ladder positions in 1908. It wasn't used, actually, to determine ladder position until 1990, 1991, somewhere around there.
What was used?
It was the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah.
Here's another one. 1909.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Hennessy, towards the end of the season, is playing for the Tricolours, and yet he is coaching the Rabbitohs. Just curious. Cheers, Glenn.
No idea.
Yeah. Maybe he was just really good.
I'm not sure that's right. We don't have him playing for the Roosters.
Okay. 1909.
Yeah, at all.
Okay.
He's playing for South 08, 09, 10, 11, 15, 18.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't know where that come from.
Well, Glenn's come in with a fucking sledgehammer with this whole email.
He has.
I can't believe what he said about fucking the Sharks. Terrible. Okay, so few things that happened since we were gone. Your mate finally left the club and went over to the Canterbury Bulldogs, introduced himself to Phil Gould, which was nice. Phil Gould had never met him. And then...
Other than the times when they actually met, they'd never actually met before. So it was good to see that they finally didn't get to actually meet again.
You sound like one of the media people that have an agenda that Phil Gould talks about.
I did go off at one of the media guys, and I thought, geez, that's pretty funny.
It is funny, isn't it? It's not. There's no hypocrisy in it at all.
I love watching when a journo, not known for being, having the greatest of integrity. I'm not naming any names here before anyone jumps to conclusions, but I love just watching, just generally speaking, a journo who doesn't have a great deal of integrity start trying to take the moral high ground. And you see it an awful lot everywhere, not just in the NRL stuff, but just everywhere. You're like, you got a bit bored doing things wrong, and you thought, I'm going to try and be morally correct now. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's funny, hey? So that happened, and it's funny, the world kept turning. And then we had Mitch Moses pick up I think it's a calf injury, so he's going to be out for, 6 weeks, they said, which is devastating for the Parramatta Eels, but that meant that Jerome Luai come into the New South Wales team, and he basically will... I think he should have been in there in the first place, personally. I think anybody that thinks that Jerome Luai isn't playing good footy this year doesn't actually watch Jerome Luai play football. I think that they just go by results or something, because Jerome Luai's been fucking great.
He really has been. There's been a few moments where he's done some slightly silly stuff. There was a game recently, that it was the last one or the one before. Just trying to figure it out now. No, I think it might have been against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. He ran up out of the line to put a hit on a player. Fair enough. This is when he's defending on his own line. The Tigers at that stage had already given away 2 set restarts in 2 sets or something like that, close to their own line. And then he ran up and put this hit on, and then stayed on the tackled player for clearly too long.
Mm-hmm.
And then the referee just said, mate, you're going in the bin. That's the 3rd time. And I was looking at him going, that's fair enough. But at the same time, Luai, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm.
We're on our own line. And I think we're down on the scoreboard, and you're gonna do that at a very pivotal moment of the match. So why would you do that? On the flip side, he got pinged for that tackle the week later on the kicker. Was that on
Cleary?
Yeah. That seemed fine to me.
Did to me too. I thought it was completely fine.
And then it felt like they legitimately made up a bullshit reason to justify why they penalised him there. It's like, that's just dumb. Like, this happens in every fucking game, and no one ever gets penalised for it. I'm not saying it's bad refereeing, or I'm not going to say that it's targeting or any sort of that garbage. I think sometimes a referee will see something like that, and they'll just instinct will kick in and go, "Oh, that might have been a touch early," and they'll go off that, which they have to do. That's fine. I've got no issue with what the decision was on the field. My issue is more with after the fact, when everyone's had a chance to review it, and you could tell, genuinely, it was fine. Could just come out and say, it's fine.
Yeah.
But no, let's double down and try and defend ourselves and prove that we're definitely right all the time. No, I think a lot of the times we could all handle if a referee was said, you know what, we got it wrong. We admit it. We got that wrong. I think a lot more people would accept that than when they've clearly got it wrong and they double down and keep defending themselves. I think that's the bit that gives people the shits.
Yeah.
And we know who's responsible for that.
Yeah. It's annoying. Like, I hate it. There's two things I hate is when a kicker gets smashed and it was completely fine and they give a penalty. And the other thing is when a halfback is running at the line and not watching the line, and then they pass, and just as they pass, they get destroyed. Because if you're a halfback and you run and you're not watching the line and you get destroyed, you fucking deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate it when that's called. And they'll say, oh, it was late. And it's like, it wasn't late. He deserved to get destroyed then.
Fully agree.
I saw a quote from Callan Ponga's dad saying that he has giant offers from rugby union overseas, but that he isn't looking at those, that he wants to either stay with the Knights or there's other opportunities available in the NRL with expansion teams and stuff coming. So I found that interesting. There was also, for some reason, about 3 weeks ago, like, there was some bullshit out of rugby union types that were saying, oh, Nathan Cleary, he's keen to play rugby union. Nathan Cleary coming out and said, man, he basically said, I've had a really good start to my career. I understand how it's poised. I am going to finish off my rugby league career. I'm going to see what I can get out of my rugby league career. So he kind of put that to bed. And I'm trying to think if there's been any other huge news anywhere, and I can't think of any other huge news. Can you?
No. Has there been any players signings and stuff? It feels like it's been really quiet.
Yeah. Which Adam Reynolds apparently turned down a huge contract from the West Tigers to stay at the Broncos, which...
Good call by the Tigers there to miss out on that one.
I know, yeah.
Why are they chasing him?
I don't know. You got to be careful with Shane Richardson, because Shane Richardson can really fuck up a salary cap.
Yeah,
I remember he fucked up Penrith's salary cap after we won the title in 2003.
Yeah. He does have that in him, which is a bit of a problem. We haven't had an impact, in that front from him so far. I think the worst one is probably Jack Bird.
Yeah.
And Bird started the season actually pretty good, but he started to revert to form.
Jack Bird type form, yeah.
Yeah, and he's now gone from being on the run-on side. He's now on the bench, and if his form doesn't pick up anytime soon, he will be out of the 17, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was there? Dom Young? What's going on with him?
Yeah, well, he's now officially a Knight. So he played for the Roosters against the Knights last weekend, and now he's training with the Knights.
So basically, the Roosters just said, we're going to let you go, but you're staying with us until we let you go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want you to play against us.
It's really interesting. The Roosters are the transit lounge again. They just are. And I don't understand why any player would look to sign for the Roosters when you look at how many of their players they just tell to fuck off and go and find somewhere else to play. They do it all the time now. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I think it'll be good for Dom Young to go back to Newcastle. But yeah, it's a strange situation at the Roosters. Like, there's talk that they had basically had a handshake agreement with Daly Cherry Evans, which they might renege on. But why were they going after Daly Cherry Evans in the first place? Like, that is literally a 1990 Eastern Suburbs Roosters move to go for a very, very, very old halfback like that. And, you know, it's a strange one. It's a real strange one. I don't know how they're making their decisions, but they seem to make some real weird ones the last number of years.
Yeah, I get the feeling that the Roosters are probably a year or two past that point where they needed to start working on a rebuild.
Yeah.
And now they're doing panicky stuff before they start becoming a legit cellar dweller.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not how you do it.
No.
You just, every now and then, you just got to have one season, just eat the shit sandwich and get it done. They did it once before themselves. And you just, you get finished down the bottom of the ladder somewhere, you eat that shit sandwich, you get your squad you want, and you get them all set up. So the next year you come back out and you hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it in they say they're trying to soften the blow, so to speak. It's not quite working though, is it?
No, in your, like, they're trying. DCE wouldn't be the difference. DCE, even if you took his best football ever, right? You took him at the peak of his career, he would still not be the difference between this Roosters side being a non-finals team and winning a grand final. So if you're picking up DCE for 12 to 24 months to hopefully bridge the gap, I just don't know what the idea is behind that, you know? There's very few teams that can continually have success while they're trying to develop young players. And the Roosters' future is developing some of the young players they've got. But it's just really confusing the way that they're trying to splash cash and then they realize really quickly that it's a bad idea and then they push players out the door and then they try and get someone else. And I don't understand their whole philosophy around building a squad like that.
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So it's. I guess we will wait and see what they do there. I don't know what their plans are for their halfback. I think at the moment they've got two pretty talented young halves there to work with.
Mm.
And I think it'd be nuts for them to overlook them right now.
Well, you at least want to see like with Walker, I don't know that he's going to get his chance again.
Yeah.
At the Roosters.
I legit wasn't even referring to him.
Oh, there you go.
Standard Smith.
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting the other guy's name.
What's his name?
Young halfback.
I can't remember his name. But like he's been playing well for them.
Hugo Savala.
That's it. And like we talked about it in the last podcast, I think, where like if you've got a young dude that's doing an all right job, you leave him there. You don't mess with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with it. And like, how many halfbacks do they want to have on their fucking books next year?
All of them.
Chad Townsend's still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere.
I think Roosters fans are trying to forget that he's still there.
Speaking of trying to forget someone's there, Bryce Cartwright, who it's really weird. I was thinking about him on the weekend randomly for some reason. And I was like, whatever happened to Bryce Cartwright? You know, and I looked him up and I was like, oh, he's still at Parramatta. I was like, I thought he must have gone to Super League or something. Anyway, he got released the other day and he has signed a contract with the St. Mary's Saints, which is basically a way to try and get back into the Penrith Panthers side. And
so welcome back to the prodigal son.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to work out, but if he could find some sort of form, I mean, he might be able to be, a handy addition, maybe. But we'll see what happens there. It was interesting, I thought. I don't know that it's going to work, but if the best case scenario works out, then it could be something that you look at the Panthers in like next year around Origin time and be like, oh, he was a handy pickup.
I mean, I don't know what the hell Penrith would do with him. I don't think they'll keep him. I think he's just going to be there for the rest of this season.
Well, he's at St Mary Saints. He's not even at Penrith.
Yeah.
So, like, if he's just running around for the Saints, then he'd be good, obviously, at that level of footy. But, it is a stepping stone into the Panthers' side. We'll see how that pans out, I guess. But yeah, in their full strength team, he's not in it.
No, and nor should he be.
No.
Who's going to sign him? Because he will get signed by an NRL team. He feels like very much I'll say it, even though he's very much a Titans signing.
He really is. He should have stayed there as the most Titans player ever.
Yeah. He's as Titans as they come.
Yeah.
Imagine a Titans pack with him and David Fafita
just
in the back row.
Just like talking to them before the game, being like, oh, you're looking forward to this one? And having them go like, I don't know. I mean, footy's all right. I barely watch it these days. Yeah.
I know
barely committed to it.
I know what I'm going to be doing after the game.
Oh, Jesus. Is David? I can't imagine David Fafita's going to be at the Titans next year. Hey.
No, Who's going to sign him though? We discussed this. I feel like 2 or 3 years ago that if he doesn't start pulling his finger out and putting in some good performances, he's going to be the next Dave Taylor, where he's not going to get another big contract.
I think. I mean, the problem is he's on a big contract now. Like, you can't pick him up. Because if you were going to sign him next year, like, I could see a team saying, we'll give you, a smaller contract, a much smaller contract than he's on now, and look to bring him off the bench and see if you can have him as, like, an impact player. And if it doesn't work out, you chuck him in reserve grade, and who gives a shit? You've only got him for 2 years on a real small contract. But he's on a fucking marquee giant contract. And so I just don't know how that's going to work out. Like, they can't leave him in reserve grade for the whole term of his contract. It's too much money.
Do you think Bellamy could make him work? Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't think he's something that can be worked with. I think what we saw with his raw natural ability, that just might be his cap.
Yeah.
Because have we seen him get better since he exploded on the scene?
No, not at all. His game has not improved at all.
No, and that's a problem. Like when you're so young, we should be seeing inconsistency, yes, but signs of genuine improvement the whole way through. And he's been overtaken by tons of players, tons of them.
Yeah, you would he would have to. And I can't imagine this is going to happen. Like, you would need to get him and say, look, we're going to work on your endurance to the point where you hate us, but it's going to make you a better player. And then, hopefully that helps his mobility. And then you're hoping that helps his desire, because it's all about desire in defense. You can't teach someone to want to be the sort of elite defender that he should be, You can't. It's like trying to force someone to love you. Like, you can't do it.
No.
So it's just a case of that's why I think you just bring him off. Your best case scenario for him is you bring him off the bench and hope that he can give you a ridiculous impact over a short period of time, and then you take him off the field and hope he hasn't hurt you too much on the defensive side of things.
I'd be sitting him down and I'd say, here's the thing, Dave. Dave-O.
David.
See this guy over here, Bryce Cartwright? right now, right, he's probably only going to command about $350,000 on the market cap max, right? That makes him much more marketable and a much more sought after asset than you on $1 million, because we know we're going to get close to $300,000 out of Cartwright. We know we're not getting $1 million out of you. So
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Are you going to fix that, or are we just going to let you go and you can go on your own and we'll get Bryce Cartwright in to do your job for you? That's the sort of tough talk that guy needs, because I think he's been protected for too long from too early. And this is one of the concerns I get about a lot of players, taking on these huge deals at a very young age. Like, I'm not going to say that they should say no to them. Of course not. But this is the big concern you get, is as soon as you get one of those massive deals like that, if there's a part of you that is motivated by the money as much or more than everything else, once you get the cash, fuck this job. She's sweet. Kick your heels up, she'll be fine. And I've only got to rip in for 1 year, and that's the year that my contract's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think for the most part, when teams offer those giant deals, I think for the most part they get it right. The problem is when they don't, it is fucking devastating to your salary cap. Yeah. It's devastating. And Dave Taylor is devastating to the Titans salary cap. What's crazy is
Fafita.
That he did he talked about wanting to go to the Panthers last year, and had it, and then it was like, the Roosters caught wind of it, and he was like, going to the Roosters, and he was going to the Roosters. They were going to sign him to a big deal, and then all of a sudden he didn't want to go there. He wanted to stay at the Gold Coast Titans, and the Titans offered him a giant deal, even though he was the only club that he really wanted to go to, and now they're left with a guy that's in reserve grade who's on $1 million+.
He's been paid more than every other person in the competition that he's playing against.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just such a crazy situation. And look, it's a mark against the Roosters and their once again their recruitment of these weird players, because the Panthers weren't going to sign him to a huge deal. They were going to get him in a thing of like, we've got a really good team, we've got a little bit of money to spend, come here and win a premiership. And I think that intrigued him a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was about the money again.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mind, it's fair enough. Like I would always say, take the money, whoever you are. But it doesn't help the Titans right now. Like, it's really going to fuck them, and there's no way out of it. Like, no one is going to pick up fucking $800,000 of his deal. No one's going to keep $700,000. Like, as you say, you would be better off getting Bryce Cartwright, thinking we're probably going to get nothing out of Bryce Cartwright, but it's only going to cost us a couple of $100,000. Whereas,
I've got a solution for the Titans.
Okay.
Solution? Are you listening, Des? Right? Use that big brain of yours. Here's what you do. You go up to Dave Fafita and say, mate, look, this is not working out for both of us, but I've come up with an absolutely cracker idea, because I know you want to play footy and you want to be playing first grade. So here's what we do. You go over to this English club, and not only will you be playing every week in there, you can be the owner. You can buy it with the amount of money you have. What do you reckon? You just got to put on a red jumper, and you can be playing in any position you want. You can be halfback if you want. You're the boss. You own that team. That's yours.
You don't even have to pay money for the fucking website address, hey?
No,
that's already been covered.
We've got a bloke over here. He'll just take a lazy meal a year for you to take it. He'll look after all the content on there. It'll just be pictures of you rolling through the whole time. He's got you covered, right? Just go over there. You've got it covered, man. What do you reckon? Deal? I'm sure you'll sign that one.
You know what? The only way the Titans can get out of this is if they go to the Bears and they say, listen, you just take him. You need some headliners. He'll be somewhat of a headliner for you, and they've just got to eat the rest of the shit sandwich.
Or they can just say, did you know David Fafita used to play rugby union?
Why's that? Who wants rugby union?
Because the AAU will start coming around going, we got a former rugby union, let's buy him, and they'll go and pay him like $3 million.
Yeah, but with what money? Huh?
They'll get a forward loan from Salford Council or something.
Did you see that they were going to try and start up that third tier competition again? The Australian Rugby Union was going to try and. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I dare say that'll be fully amateur because that way you don't have to worry about paying for anything.
It would have to be because, they've got no money.
Oh, boy.
Like, why would you go and play in that competition when you can literally go and play in an A-grade level competition in rugby league and earn more money?
Yeah, or a B grade or a C grade one over in England.
Yeah. Or even a D grade. It's called Super League. Speaking of not England, speaking of the wonderful country of Wales.
Yes.
Wales and the Welsh Rugby League had a wonderful honour over the last week. Billy Boston was given a knighthood for his services to Welsh Rugby League and Wales in general, and it was wonderful to see a Welshman get knighted like that.
Yes, look, this is one guy who I have no issue with being knighted, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider that he played at a time when arguably the greatest of all time for Australia and France were playing, and that was Clive Churchill and Puig Aubert, this guy stood out when they were playing. He was unbelievable. He was the Greg Inglis of his day. That's who he was. Yeah. Unbelievable player. Played nearly 500 games in the English league and scored 483 tries, 499 games. That's some ridiculous. That's a club level. 32 games for Great Britain. It's a phenomenal career. I've got no issue with him getting it. He's 90 years old. Turns 91 in August. They moved the ceremony forward to make sure that he would be able to get the honour and enjoy it. That's all fantastic. And he is legit the first rugby league player to be knighted. Yes, there have been other people who have played rugby league previously who have got knighted. They didn't get knighted for anything to do with rugby league, though. So as far as I'm concerned, Billy Boston is the first rugby league player to be knighted for his services to rugby league. And that's how he should definitely be regarded and spoken about. Tremendous honour. Definitely well deserved.
Yeah, I was very happy for him when I saw that news come through, and like that they brought the ceremony forward was awesome. Just wonderful for Wales. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolute icon, and still talked about to this day, man.
Yeah,
That's what you want. That's a legacy.
Yep, exactly.
I see people talking about James Roby and is it Sinfield?
Yeah, Kevin Sinfield.
And look, it's a fair argument, but if we're going to talk about a legacy on the football field, they don't come close to Billy Boston. And for honest, they're being probably more well remembered for the unfortunate situation that Roby was in. And I've got no issue if they get knighted for the work they've done for charity, because that has been phenomenal as well.
Do you mean Rob Burrow?
Rob Burrow, sorry, it's not James Roby. Yeah. So I think that's a different discussion.
Yeah, same here.
I wouldn't be putting those two, if we're looking purely at playing legacy, I don't think you can put them in the same category as Billy Boston. Yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's a touchy one to deal with given the circumstance for Rob Burrow, obviously, but I'm not saying anything negative about the work that he has done for charity, because that is next level. Or sorry, I should say that was next level stuff. And what Sinfield has done during and since Rob Burrow's passing has been phenomenal as well. And I'm not going to say anything negative about that because unbelievable commitment on his behalf in that regard. That's amazing. So I'd have no problem with either of those two guys being knighted for their work for charity in that regard there, because I'm fine with that. But yeah, I don't think people should be trying to make the argument based on their rugby league careers. It's two very different beasts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Next, English knighthood, AJ Brimson.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Do you know they actually say, like, if everyone's healthy, does Brimson even get selected?
Yeah.
And it's like, he is your best choice at fullback by so fucking far. It's not close.
And not just fullback. I mean, he can play 5'8" and halfback.
Pick a position. But like, I would have him as fullback.
Yeah.
And I just he'd be my first player picked.
Man, I'd put him in the second row ahead of John Bateman.
I would too.
Yeah.
I'd play him at hooker. Be a good hooker.
Yeah. Man, I'd even have AJ Brimson making me peanut butter sandwiches over John Bateman, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So there's only one thing I'd pick Bateman at.
Careful.
Don't, Andrew.
Careful.
Don't.
Careful.
Don't.
Careful.
Yeah. So by the time you're listening to this, either State of Origin's about to be played, because we're recording Tuesday night. I'll put it up Wednesday morning. Or it's been played. If it's already been played, congratulations to the Blues wrapping it up already. Can't wait to hear Gordon Tallis talking about we shouldn't play the dead rubber game. That'll be nice.
He'll be having another sook.
Yeah. He's always fucking crying about something, Gordon Tallis. And
that's all he knows.
I tell you what, like, I feel as though that in this game, Queensland have selected some players for the future because they know that this series is just not for them.
That's pretty fair. Sorry,
Why are you coughing into the mic?
I was just looking up some details about the Origin games at Perth because I had a feeling New South Wales had a good record there, and when I saw the results, I was trying not to laugh, and it turned into a cough.
Do we flog them when we play them in Perth? Yeah,
so there's been 2 Origin games played in Perth. Mm-hmm. And the first time was 2019, and New South Wales won 38-6. Mm-hmm. And the second time we played there was 2022, and New South Wales won 44-12.
Wow, shit.
And Ashley Klein was referee on both occasions, and he's refereeing this one as well. So, Klein, he's a blue.
Wouldn't it be weird if in some way, because normally when these games are taken on the road, the locals, so when it's in Melbourne, they kind of lean towards Queensland because they're anti-New South Wales sort of thing.
I wonder if it's a combination of being anti-Sydney and also pro-Queensland because there's so many Queenslanders in the Melbourne team.
In the Storm team, yeah. I wonder if Perth ends up being, and it, like over time ends up being sort of a New South Wales leaning place.
You know what?
I mean, I don't know.
They probably start out that way, given that they're going to have the Bears over there. And then once they start to learn about the Bears' legacy, they'll quickly change to Queensland.
They'll fucking hate it, yeah. You know what? In 80 years from now, when they're like a couple of generations in of just sadness and regret, then they'll understand what it's like to be a Bears fan.
Yeah. They'll go to Optus Stadium, because I'll have full ownership of it by then, and they'll go, you know what this ground really needs to make it better? A tree.
A tree. We need to plant a fucking tree somewhere.
Yeah, like near the sideline.
Yeah.
Needs a tree.
And we need a cricket pitch in the middle.
That would help.
And some picket fences around it.
I'm not going to be knocking picket fences. It looks stunning.
It's kind of surprising that no one was ever impaled on it, hey?
I remember when we did that episode many, many years ago about the picket fence that was around Earl Park one day.
And they were tearing them out.
And tearing them out and using them as weapons. And then when they realised that, you know what, this piece of wood I just picked up is not good enough, I'm just going to duck home and grab my axe. I'll be back in a sec, fellas.
So crazy.
Oh, I love that. Don't let anyone tell you that Dragons fans are unhinged, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Anything else happened in rugby league, or should we get on to our Formula One podcasting?
I think that was basically it. Actually, I did have one stat that I liked today that I put up on my Twitter account.
Okay, tell me.
Because this weekend we've got the Knights playing against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'd just talk up the comparison in attack between the two sides.
Do you like? I think that you've picked a Dolphins game on purpose.
Nice.
So,
did you just come up with that one?
I have used that joke about half a dozen times this season already.
That's good. All right. So I was looking at the last 150 points scored for both teams,
mm-hmm.
and how long it took.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Dolphins, they had 80 minutes last week. They scored 58-4 against the Cowboys. 80 minutes the week before against the Dragons, 56-6. And for 42 minutes against the Bulldogs, they scored 38 points to 0. So in 202 minutes, they've scored 152 points to 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
That is.
For the Knights, against the Roosters, 8-12. Against Manly, 26-22. Against the Dragons, 6-20. Against Penrith, 25-6. Against Parramatta, 6-28. Against the Titans, 20-24. Against South, 30-4. Against the Warriors, 12-26. Against Cronulla, 14-34. Against the Tigers, 4-20. Against the Bulldogs, 0-20. And for the last 5 minutes of the game against the Titans, they were up 2-0. So in their last 885 minutes, they've scored 153 points.
Jesus. Holy crap.
Well done, Newcastle.
That's rough.
So that goes back to round 3.
Yeah, shit. That's nuts. Katoa's, I think Katoa is the second best halfback in the game. And I don't think it's even close. I think Cleary is obviously number 1. I think it's Katoa number 2, and I think there's a big gap, and it's probably Mitch Moses number 3. But there's quite a gap.
I'll tell you what's been amazing watching Katoa.
No, it's not Moses. It's what's his name Hughes down in Melbourne. But it is a big gap.
Yeah. What's amazing about Katoa for such a young guy is he has made Cody Nikorima better.
Yeah.
That's just stunning.
Or the way that the things that get me about him is he knows how to engage the line and then use the player on the outside of him already. And that is normally something you don't get until you're about 27, 28 as a halfback. Yeah. It's stunning.
He is absolutely remarkable. And his game keeps getting better.
Mm. And quickly.
Yeah, and he's defensively getting better as well too, which is really good to see.
His kicking game is pretty damn good, and it's going to get better as well. It's just so cool to watch him play. And like the Dolphins, we knew when the Dolphins got him, it was a good signing. He come from Penrith. He's a Panthers junior.
Yeah. It's
crazy to think that, like, if you think the two best halfbacks in the game are Panthers juniors, and then, I mean, I still think Luai's the best 5'8" in the game, and he's a Panthers junior. But if you say he's one of the top 2, if you say him and Munster, like, it's crazy how many, what the Panthers juniors have spat out over the last, say, 8 years is something we literally have never once seen in rugby league history. It is fucking unbelievable. Because, like, Matt Burton, throw him in there as a 5'8" as well. It's just crazy.
It really is. Mate, this is why we should be looking at having a 19th team in Ropes Creek.
Did you have a look at that video I sent?
I haven't seen the video yet. I did see the tweet about it, though.
You got to check it out. You got to see the... I put a tweet up, people, because I talked about Ropes Creek on the podcast, didn't I?
Oh, I think we've waxed lyrical about Ropes Creek.
Well, I put a tweet up about a video I found on YouTube, and it's only pictures, but they're actually really good pictures, and there's a lot of them. And it shows Ropes Creek in Tregear. And yeah, go and check it out. You can see what I was talking about.
When's the housing estate start there?
Well, there's not going to be a housing estate on Ropes Creek, but they see Tregear backed onto an ammunition factory, and the ammunition factory was turned into a housing estate. It's called Ropes Crossing.
Ropes Crossing?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was called Ropes Crossing because there's the Ropes Creeks there, right?
Yeah.
But then there was a railway crossing because that's how they moved the ammunition out of the factory, was through a railway line. And the railway line kind of went into the industrial area of St Mary's, and then I guess joined the main line. But that was a long time ago.
Train talk, people.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
Yeah. I was actually saying that I should go to Tregear and take some pictures of the place.
Absolutely.
Maybe put it on my website. It'd be good fun.
You can put on that Salford one.
Yeah, why not? It's not going to have a football team to fucking link it to anymore soon.
No. This is absolutely right. Now, did you watch the Formula One race on the weekend?
I did. I actually, it's funny, I thought I'll watch a replay. There's no way I'm waking up. And I just randomly woke up and was like, what's the time? And it was 4:03.
Oh,
and the race had just
bugger.
started. Yeah. So I put it on. I didn't do it live because I wanted to see the start, but I fast forwarded it. So I think I was like a minute or two behind,
Yep.
And then I sat through it without Norris crashing into Piastri. It would have been the most boring fucking Canadian Grand Prix I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it was
like nothing happened.
It was going crap, and then all of a sudden, Norris decided that his car could fit down the side where there was barely enough space for half a car.
He thought he was in the fucking Batmobile that turned into the Bat missile in the fucking, what was it called? Batman Returns in 1992. Absolutely insane.
It was just you could see too, as they were going down the straight, before I even thought about overtaking, you could see that Piastri was moving gently to the left to get onto the driving line so they could take that upcoming chicane. And for whatever reason, he's just gone, yeah, that wall will move.
Well, it's just so weird that, like, you just can't pass there.
No.
Like, unless it's the opening lap, like off the start, no one passes there. And he just fucked it. He jammed it into the wall, and now I think he's 22 points behind.
Yeah.
And
was that not the same sort of thing? I was watching the F1 feed, so I can't remember. But wasn't that the same sort of thing that Hamilton did with Jenson Button in 2010 or 2011 or something like that there?
They were talking about that on the race coverage. I can't remember that, but they were saying that it was almost the exact same thing.
That was one of the first races I watched when I started getting back into F1 again.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, what the have I been missing this the whole time? Like this sort of insanity? What happened to actually using actual skill to get around people? Now we just crash into things like we're on a snooker table. I'll just bounce off the cushion and get around that way. What the fuck is this?
I'm so happy now that the cars are not as brittle as they used to be.
Yeah.
That like they can take a bit of a hit, but he fucking destroyed his car.
I mean, you look at it,
was amazing.
He just nicked. The front wing just nicked Piastri's rear tyre.
Yeah.
Like Piastri even said, I barely felt anything. I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, man, he smashed into the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, and we've talked about this with Lando Norris. He has a brain fart in him. And I think you saw that there. Like, he just had to bide his time. He was on better tyres. I think he was the faster of the two over the race. and he just had to bide his time. He probably would have got him on the next lap down that back straight.
He's only good when it comes to overtaking back markers. When he gets up against a genuinely good driver or someone he needs to get around because they are actually in front of him on the, on the order, he crumbles, man.
Yep.
He's the worst passer I've seen on the Formula One track in quite a while.
The crazy thing is, you watch the coverage of it, and they just laud him.
I know.
Like, they talk him out, and it doesn't matter that Piastri will be in front of him. They'll be like, oh, Lando Norris, how good is he going? And it's like, his teammates fucking beating him again. And then, I think the big problem he really has now, apart from the giant gap he's got now to his teammate, I think with all of the other cars, I think that Mercedes is getting a bit better. I think Red Bull's getting a little bit better. I think the Ferraris are going to get a little bit better. And now I think they're all going to start taking points away from each other. And so instead of it being a case of like the two McLarens kicking everyone's ass out the front, and if one of them, has a race where they don't finish, the other one can make up 22-point gap. I think now it's going to be a little bit more of a fight between those teams, and there's not going to be all them points available there like there would have been at the start of this year.
Yeah, especially as we're going to start heading into the European section where the tracks are a little bit more technical. Mm-hmm. They're not just, a few massive long straights and then not much slow, not much when it comes to slow sections. Or, God forbid, more of those street circuits. We're going to get to actual racetracks where actual skill is required. You're going to see the better drivers start to come to the front a little bit more there. And Piastri's got a little bit of a buffer there now, but Norris under pressure.
Anytime he's under pressure, he cracks.
He does.
He just cracks.
He's weak. He's great on Saturday.
Yeah, you know what? He's pretty good on Saturday, but
that's because he's not racing anyone.
Yeah. And then you just see the weakness come in. Weakness, and
off the starts, man, his starts are just bad.
Yep. And he's racing against Piastri, who's like a psycho. Like nothing phases him.
Yeah.
And then Verstappen is like just crazy. So,
If I could have my all-time favourite Formula One pairing right now, it's probably Raikkonen and Piastri.
Yeah, they're just...
People would be trying to do jump scares on. They just look at you going, "Are you all right?"
Yeah, exactly.
That's just fucking annoying now.
You got every couple of months you've got to go on YouTube and watch the Raikkonen pit radio stuff.
Oh, it's stuff of legends, mate.
Yeah, shut up.
I know what I'm doing.
Blah. Tell me all the time.
Hey, wheel. Where's my wheel?
Gloves. Yeah, it's great. Piastri's really weird because, when they do the radio to him, he just sounds like he's chilled out in his chair at home. It's like, fucking hell.
It actually is amazing to me how you hear a few drivers like that. There's not many. But when you hear, say, Verstappen out in front and he's chill, making little comments and stuff and joking around, you're like, man, he's on his racing sim at home. But then you hear other guys when they're starting to get under the pressure a little bit and you can hear it in their voices, the stress. Piastri's like, we're all good. The tyres looking like they're getting a bit worn. Nah.
Did you see Hamilton hit a groundhog, put a hole in the bottom of his car? He thought he'd hit a beaver at first, but it was just a groundhog.
Ah, what a shame.
Yeah. He said he was upset because he's an animal lover. It's like, well, you just fucking obliterated a groundhog. Why did you? It's weird when you see that footage of it. It was in the shadow of a one of the walkways that goes over the track.
Yep.
And it's just unlucky.
So a track that he's been around how many laps?
Oh no.
Yeah, even on that race week, and didn't see that little black spot was a bit different to when he was on the exact same spot 2 minutes prior. Sorry, a minute and a half prior.
It only looked small. It looked like a small groundhog. It's only a small one.
Oh, that means he's not going to miss much, is he?
He might have killed a baby groundhog. That's where we're at.
Well, at least he cut it down before it could make any impact. It could have been an evil groundhog. Try and tell yourself that. He just mowed down the Hitler of groundhogs. Well done, Lewis. Well done, Lewis.
We're not going to be able to monetize this episode on YouTube.
Damn, I've ruined another one. 562 of them now I've done. One day we'll get one of them right.
It's weird to think of like a Formula One car smashing an animal like that,
Yeah. Although, I suppose because I think the only other thing I remember any of them hitting was Alonso ran over a lizard once. Was that?
I'm trying. I feel like there's another animal that was hit. Let me think. I'm sure there was another animal that was hit. Damn it.
I remember one where there was a safety car came out to, this is what, might have been in the 70s or 80s. I saw it on YouTube once. So there's a safety car come out to attend to a guy whose car had broken down or it had a crash or was on fire or something like that. And as the safety car came along to attend to this guy's just gone to get a fire extinguisher from the marshal, and he's walking back out to his car, and the safety car collided with the driver.
It hit him, broke his leg too.
Yeah, fucked him up.
I think that was in the 90s from memory.
There you go.
I think it was the 90s, and then like we had the Tom Price incident. Where
that was nasty.
Yeah, that was terrible. A driver and a marshal died in that one.
That was savage.
That was in the South African Grand Prix, I think in the 70s from memory.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into like, in it's the 70s and 60s that they were basically, I think it was like 5 of the drivers died on average every year.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It was basically just murder with a bit of car racing involved.
Well, they were just sitting in tubs. It's interesting. I was watching some race highlights from like the late 90s into the 2000s, and you could really see like the drivers working in the car back then because they were so exposed.
Yeah.
And then you go back in the 70s and 60s and stuff, and they were literally just sitting in a tub, and they were just half hanging out of it already.
Yeah, it was a tub sitting on top of a petrol bomb.
Yeah, pretty much. So, it's insane when you look at some of the old cars that there were, and how little there was to them.
Oh, absolutely. But fascinating when you think about it, that as much as too many of them died, how more of them didn't also die.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And there was also like some of the thought processes that they had early on of like you were better off being thrown out of your car because you didn't want it falling on top of your head because they didn't have like proper roll bars, I guess, and stuff like that. Or you didn't want to be trapped in your car and burned to death, which happened a lot. It's just insane how different it is now, where you see some of these crashes that they have in the car, smashes off one wall, smashes off another wall, ends up on its lid, and then the driver just climbs out of it and they're fine. I'm so happy that that's how it is now,
Yeah. No, it's definitely a lot better now. There's no doubt about that. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything that's happening in Formula One, which is the important thing.
We've kept it pretty tight.
Yeah. If you're listening, make sure you send us an email. Ask us anything. Ask us rugby league questions, life questions. Just send us an email, podcast@leaguefreak.com.
That would be fantastic. And we've also got to do a Lego building episode, haven't we?
Yeah, I had this idea I put to Andrew where basically we have an episode, which is a bit different, where we both get a Lego Formula One car and we build it as we talk about footy.
I've been doing a bit of practice.
Have you?
Yeah, because my boy loves Lego.
Yeah.
And so today I got some sort of Lego Technic dune buggy type car.
Okay.
Yeah. Complicated, but pretty cool fun. But
I've been watching. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say there's a bunch of good Formula One Lego kits out there.
Mm-hmm.
The one I bought recently was the McLaren car from a year ago. I think it was. It was only $17, so it's not huge, but it's also it's a little bit involved, but it's not too bad. Like it's.
Is that the one we looked at?
We looked at one that was a bit bigger, which was $34.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all pretty good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got to figure out which one we're going to get and go from there. I think the $34 ones have a lot of stickers as well. I look at it and go, fuck the stickers.
Fuck the stickers. I've been, just because I've been a little bit bored, I've been looking at some of the Lego reviews.
Yeah.
And straight away I start looking at like the really expensive ones, like the Millennium Falcon and stuff, which is over $1,000.
Yes.
And they're kind of the best Lego shit you can get, those things, though.
Yeah.
But then I've been seeing the minifigures that they have. And when they go through and they'll talk about the most, like, there's some that are really expensive because they're rare, but, like, most of the more expensive ones are, like, $34 and stuff like that. And, like, I think to myself, if only I had got into fucking getting expensive Lego shit instead of the 1/6 scale stuff, because I could buy like 20 of those things for the price of some of my 1/6 scale fucking figures. And it's really interesting when I see like people collecting things, and they're pretty cool things. Like, I'm not running them down or anything. They're actually really cool. And they're so cheap.
Well,
Pick your hobbies carefully.
You could just create your own Lego. You've got the device to do it with.
I could, yeah, I could do that. But the thing is, like the most of the good Lego figures that you can get are just so cheap. Like I literally could buy 10 of them and just be like, yeah, it's fucking easy.
Yeah, it's funny. There's some out there which are cheap, and there's other sets out there which you look at and you go, there's like 20 pieces in this and it's $40. What the fuck?
Well, it's interesting that that a lot of the people that I've seen, they go price per piece. Like, that's how they measure whether a set is worth it or not.
Okay.
And then there's some that suggest you should do it by the weight of the pieces rather than just price per piece. And like some of these things would take months to put together. They're so involved. Like, I know the really expensive Formula One figures would be too long to do on a podcast. They'd probably take a few sittings to get through and put together. Yeah. That's why we were going to go for the smaller model size. But, yeah, it's like, there's some really cool shit out there once you start looking at it. But yeah, of course, my brain starts going directly to the most expensive shit they've got. That makes me hate myself sometimes.
I'm gonna get this. Well, you know, like, when you're one of the elites, in the finance sector, as you are,
of course,
you don't bother looking at things that are cheap because that's for the pissants of society with no fucking money.
That's for the plebs.
That's right. You're rolling in it. So,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some people have got a weekend car and they've got a weekday car. You've got a January the 5th car.
I fucking hate people that talk about their daily drivers. What's your daily driver? It's my car, you fucking idiot. You know?
It's the same thing I've had for the last 35 years.
My car is definitely old enough to drive and vote and go to war and everything. I've always had this thing where, like, if I get into something and I I'll go from thing to thing sometimes, but if I get into something, I normally look for what the best thing is you can get. So I could never get into watches because I could never afford getting the real expensive watches, obviously.
That's true.
And there's certain things that I don't look at on purpose because I know I will get into them immediately. And I lucked it, as I think I've said this before on the podcast, I lucked out with the knives because I kind of got the knives that I wanted, and like one of them was the Predator knife from, the big Predator knife. And then the other one was the K-Bar, which is relatively not that expensive, but to me it's the most perfect thing ever made. Like there's not one tiny bit of that knife that is excess. It's like all business. So I lucked out with that one. But then there's other things that I've looked at and been like, I want the most expensive one. Oh, it's just stupid. So stupid.
Well, you don't muck around.
I don't. I can't afford it.
Can't have inferior shit.
It's like, what would be a cool bit of memorabilia to get? Or what if I get a real metal Captain America shield? How much are they? Fuck.
And what's that? Just go, what I should do is just buy Captain America.
And then I did. I bought one of those too. That cost me $550.
He's currently out the back doing your laundry.
No, he's not. He's standing next to Bucky Barnes and one of my Spider-Man next to a small collectible shield. That whole fucking thing's it's well over $1,000 just on that shelf.
Fantastic.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, can I use fucking ridiculous as a segue to go back to a little rugby league thing I found a few days ago?
Yeah.
As we wrap this thing up.
Yep.
So I've been researching the Bulimba Cup competition, which was largely between Brisbane, Ipswich and Toowoomba.
Yep.
And I was doing a bit of work in the 50s and I found this very, very interesting little snippet. Says, winger Gary Barnett was the only absentee at last night's Brisbane training. He had to go to a league quiz. He had. And the coaching staff all went, yeah, don't worry about this rep game tomorrow. You go and do that Shrewsbury.
I wonder if he won it.
I couldn't find it. I actually went on a separate mission to find out how he went at the league trivia, and there's no reference anywhere.
Damn.
So it probably doesn't augur well. But email us, people, and tell us, have you got a better reason for skipping training that the coaches went, yeah, you know what, that's fair enough. It could be training for any sport, by the way. I want to know if you got something better than going to a trivia.
Or if you've you know what? Not just that. Like if you've had an event where you've skipped it.
Yeah.
Like an important event, like you were supposed to go to a wedding or something.
Anything, and you've come up with the most piss weak fucking excuse, and people went, yeah, no, that seems fair enough.
Mm.
Like, it can't be just, oh, fuck, fine, then don't come. Like, it has to be considered as legit, and they held no grudges with your reasoning.
I've had friends of mine that have said to me, look, I've got I've got this like birthday party or whatever that I've booked at a really nice venue. I'm telling you about it, but I'm not inviting you because I know that it's not your sort of thing and you won't go anyway. And I've been like, that's why we're friends.
And then you rocked up. Surprise!
No, I didn't.
No?
No, I didn't.
You're saving it.
But, that's true friendship when someone will do something like that for you. They won't invite you to something because they know that it's just not your sort of thing.
That's true. Speaking of, thank you for not inviting me to a birthday party last week.
Oh, when you turned 57.
Was it 57 or 58?
It's 57.
57.
You turned 57.
I feel like I might be going backwards.
Andrew turned 57 and he keeps it quiet because he's from the bush and he's like, oh, I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
That's right.
And It's like, well, it's up to me then. So, if people wishing you happy birthday on Twitter when I posted about it, which was nice.
Yeah, I had one person send me a DM going, "Are you really that old?" And I was replied with, "Yeah, probably." I don't want to destroy the mystique.
And then I can't even imagine being your age. Fucking so old. But you're going pretty well. You're doing pretty good.
I'm just dawdling along here in life.
Coming up on 60.
Coming up on 60, yeah.
Yeah, not too long now.
About 3 weeks. That's right. Oh boy. Yes. It was great.
What'd you get for your birthday?
Well, yeah, I got some Lego from the family.
Yeah.
Some socks.
Yep.
A ton of cake.
Really?
Yeah, there's a heap of cake in the fridge still.
Nice.
Been palming it off to people as they come round. You want some cake? No, I'm all right. I just came to read the meter, all right?
I like ice cream cake for my birthday.
Ah.
Yeah.
I'll have to get one delivered to you.
Yeah.
For your 57th.
How dare you?
Oh, gives me a few years to get it prepared. I've got to prepare things from a fair way out now because I'm this old. I start forgetting shit.
Yeah, I like either ice cream cake or the fucking $7 sponge cakes you get from Woolies.
Oh yeah, they go all right.
Yeah, I like them. I like them too. And I whenever it's my birthday, I cut it with my Predator knife just because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Do you do it with the helmet on?
No, because first of all, I've got a few helmets to choose from. But second of all, like the vision through them is not super great.
That to me, seems like more fun because you can just look up and go, holy fuck, I've just cut the chair in half.
Well, that's the problem. Like the Predator knife, I think, is 1.1 kilos. And so it's an unwieldy bastard of a thing. And so you kind of have to be really careful with it because you could do some damage with it otherwise,
Solid.
Solid.
Well, we should probably wrap it up on the happy birthday thing and the cutting up tables with knives.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good place to leave it, I reckon.
Yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode. We'll make sure that we don't die over the next 3 weeks so that we can put out an episode next week.
Yeah, we've
just start going week on week again.
Just so everyone knows, we have done half of a very large history episode, so we've got to get around to finishing that bastard off. Because you're going to love that one. And so that's in the pipeline, partially done already. We're just going to slap the rest of it out. And yeah, we're both on the mend. Freaky's 4G signal's picked back up again, so he's going good.
Yep.
So we'll be all good. We'll be banging out a few more episodes soon, and the next one we'll be doing will be to celebrate New South Wales Origin win.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds fantastic. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you like, subscribe to us on everything on YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast, all that sort of stuff. Please remember to send in your emails, and we'll read them out in the next episode, and we'll catch us all next time.